Hey, so I wanted to come on and make a video about this show I saw on, it's a new show on the OWN network. It's called Friends or Fiancé? No, not Friends. Family. Family or Fiancé. Anyway, they spend 3 days together, the family and the people that are getting married with their families. And afterwards, the family is supposed to say whether they give their blessings or not. And it was interesting, the first episode. So I wanted to come and give my little 2 cents, my little thoughts. And don't mind my sweatshirt. It's a little chill here in Cali. So just trying to stay warm. So let's get to it. Okay, so first off, they're talking about, how they met. And he was saying how what drew him to her was that she didn't pay him too much attention. That was like a red flag right there. It was like they were that's what drew you to her. Okay, you like challenges. He seems like the type of guy that just likes to chase. And then obviously once he got her, he was just like does whatever, right? So that was interesting. That was very telling right there when he said that. What was also interesting was how she said she heard a lot of stories about him being a player and, had all these girls and whatnot. And I was like, okay, so you heard all these stories, yet you still go and date the guy? And now you have questions about his faithfulness? Okay. So, also it's important to note that she is 22, I want to say, and he is 29. And they have been together for like 2 years or something like that. When the mom was giving her 2 cents about their relationship, she didn't have any problems. She was like the only one that didn't have any problems with the relationship. And that was interesting because he is, okay, so also you should note that he's 29 with 3 kids. Now, I don't know how many mothers are involved, like baby moms, but he has 3 children. The 22-year-old had the girl, the woman who's, getting married, has no children. And I thought that was very interesting because it's like that his mom had no problems with the relationship. It was, I don't know, maybe I'm being judgmental here, but it was like, what do you care as far as your son is concerned? Like, do you have any, like, it's like as a parent, you gotta like think, have some standards for your children. And I don't know, if she has any, because clearly he out here with, 3 kids. Ain't nothing wrong with having 3 kids. He is 29. But it was just very interesting how she was the only one that didn't have any problems with the relationship. It's funny because he doesn't even seem 29 years old. He seems like he's like super young. I'm around his age and I did not get 29-year-old vibes at all. The families arrive at the house and the therapist wants them to I guess get their opinions on their relationship and whatnot, and then they have some activities to do in order for just I guess to get through this process. And so like he has to answer like 21 questions, and then she has to prove that she can answer questions about motherhood since he has 3 children. And a lot of their concerns was the fact that she's 22 taking on this, the job as mother to 3 children. But before they do that, everyone tells their issues that they have with the relationship. And so the people on her side, her family, was basically the 22-year-old's family. They were basically saying how, you know, she was young. He has, you know, children. Basically, it was more so that she's just very young and she just needs more experience. And then on his side, his family, like I said, his mother didn't have any problems with the relationship. His cousin came along, and he was the one who was saying, we I don't know why you trying to get married, because, you know, we out here doing what we do, you know, with these girls. So I don't even know, you know, you up here trying to, you know, get married. I don't think you ready to get married because you out here, you know, out here like this, you know what I'm saying? So everybody looking like, he out here like this. That kind of threw everybody off. Everybody's still tripping about, you know, what the cousin said, talking about basically they out here just wilding with these girls, and even though he's engaged or in this relationship. And so he has a one-on-one with his cousin, and he was saying, you know, why are you saying this? You know, you out here got me looking bad and whatnot. And his cousin was like, well, I mean, you are out here, you know, with these girls. But then what was interesting is he asked the guy who's supposedly getting married, was he in love? And his response was, man, I'm engaged, man. Like, that's not an answer. Yeah, it's not an answer. Yes or no would have been a more appropriate answer. So that was interesting. So then they go over to the 22-year-old, the girl, the woman who's, you know, in this relationship, and the women are asking her questions. And honestly, I was just like, yeah, to that part, because I'm like, first of all, you never know how you're going to act or what you're going to do in certain situations. You could ask somebody questions all day long and they could give you all these answers, but when it come down to it, it could be something totally different. So I was just like, whatever to that part. But I did think it was interesting how the woman asked about, okay, so if you know, guys get married and then the baby moms wants child support, you know, you have to put in your you know, income as well. And she was like, oh, I never thought about that. It's like, yeah. So that was good that, you know, they kind of enlightened her in that aspect. But that, to me, is like, that was kind of pointless. Because, like I say, you never know how you're going to act when you get in any type of situation, you know? Basically, from here on out in the show, they start out by doing the 21 questions for the fiance, the guy. And it just goes downhill from there. They really don't even get past that, because I think one of the questions, they have a bowl of questions, and someone wrote on the questions, you know, was he, did she think he was faithful or something like that? And basically, she was like, you know, I don't know how to answer that now that, you know, your cousin basically said what he said. Then the fiance, the guy, he's like, you could, this is like, when I was like, wow, he's very immature, because he basically wants to just bypass the question. It's like, dude, if you're an adult and you're going to be married, you're going to have to talk and maybe answer questions that aren't so comfortable to answer. I'm just saying. Another part, so that to me was just immature. And then when he was getting up and walked out, it was like, wow. It was not even a fact that he walked out. The part to me that was like, wow, really, is when he walked out while she was crying and stuff, and everybody was trying to, like, it was all out of control. He walked out and then walked back in and said, man, I was just getting me a drink. In the middle of a discussion, you how childish is that? And even if you wanted to, take some time to go get a drink or do whatever, an adult would have just said, you know what, let me go get a drink. You're intensifying the situation by walking out. You know what you're doing. So why are you acting like she's crazy or everyone else is crazy? It's like, that's how I could tell, like, he was super immature and kind of manipulative, because he walked back and now he's like, oh, I was just doing, getting me a drink. And then now he's painting the picture as if she's the one that's just oh, you're overreacting. You're just overreacting. All I did was go get it, and I could see how he's doing that over and over and over and over. And then the other part was him bringing up, something that he feels, oh, okay, you're accusing me of doing something. Well, you did the same thing. That's a very immature way of dealing with something. It's like, take the heat off myself. Oh, you did it too. I can't stand when I'm talking to somebody or, having a discussion with someone and I'm trying to tell them, you do X, Y, and Z. And they were like, well, you did X, Y, and Z Monday and Tuesday. And so I ain't say nothing then. So why you bringing it up now? It's really funny when the sister called herself jumping in and saying, like, see, this is why y'all shouldn't get married, all this drama. And the girl was like, hold on. Y'all brought the drama. I was like, you get 2 points for that. You get 2 points for that, because they did bring the drama and try. It was like they were all bringing all of this to her. It was like the whole family bringing all this to her and then acting like, oh, you're just overreacting. It was sad, you could kind of tell, like, he's really not into it. Even when she went off and was crying, like, the other people were the first ones to walk after her, and he was just sitting there. It's like, dude, you're definitely not ready to be a husband to anybody. And they had a counseling session the next morning, and she was talking to them, and she obviously saw that they had some tension between the two of them. And so she asked what happened, and they were explaining it and whatnot. She was talking about, how she felt or whatever. And he plainly said he didn't care. He didn't care. He said it. I don't care. I don't care anymore. That's what he said. But in the same breath, he says, doesn't anyone care about my side? So you don't care about what they say or what her side is, but you're saying, doesn't anybody care about my side? Right. The therapist was like, okay, so you probably want to, basically end this by telling the truth. Just telling the truth. And he was like, all right. So they get, everyone in the house gets together, and he starts telling this story about how his sister was at his house. Oh, I forgot to mention that morning she came over to his house, and he wouldn't let her in. And he instead was like, let's go get something to eat. And so she was basically thinking that he had a woman in the house with him. So they came back, and I'm assuming that the woman was gone, and that she saw some eyelashes in the house. And so it was the big thing, about this whole situation is that she thought he was cheating that particular night because she saw some eyelashes in the house that she felt belonged to some woman that he was messing with. And so he was telling this story to, like, what happened was my sister threw some eyelashes at me and they stuck to me. And when I went home, the eyelashes, I thought it was a bug and all this other stuff. And when she came over and, blah, 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 everybody knew he was lying. She knew he was lying. The family knew he was lying. Even his mama was like, that don't even, that sounds a little fishy. From there, it really doesn't get resolved, but instead they have this outing. Either they can go bowling or they can go, stay at home and get these massages. So the girl, she decided she wanted to stay home and get the massage, and the husband, or the soon-to-be husband, wanted to go bowling. And so basically his friends, or his sister and his cousin, went with him, as well as her best friend went bowling. She stayed back and got the massage, as well as her mom, her aunt, and her soon-to-be husband's mother. That was really interesting how, that basically they decided to not do the same activity. When they did go bowling, the interesting thing for me was how he was talking to his cousin, and he was like, man, we supposed to come on this show to get y'all on board with this wedding and this marriage, not to fix our problems. On board, you want people to get on board with a marriage that has or a relationship that has problems, not to fix your problem. Like, dude. It reminds me of how, like, people, want to say, oh, I want to get right. I want to get my life right before I give my life to God. I want to be right before I start going to church and stuff like that. It's like, you're a little backwards, bruh. You're a little backwards. You gotta get God in you first before you can get right. And it's the same thing. It's like, you probably want to fix y'all problems first before you can get people on board with a marriage that has problems. A relationship that you guys are possibly going to get married and it has problems. Like, what? I was like, this dude ain't too smart, but anyways, afterwards they come back. He starts talking to her, the soon to be groom and the soon to be bride. They start talking, and it was funny because it was like he pulled a total Jedi mind trick on her. He was like, we supposed to be here, and they coming in and they messing up, you know what I'm saying? They messing up what we got here, you know what I'm saying? Because I loves you. You know what I'm saying? What we got is real, girl. Like, it's just me and you, girl. You know what I'm saying? They over here. I love you. We got each other. You letting them plant all these ideas in your head. You know what I'm saying? Sounding like an old school player trying to spit gang. You know what I'm saying? They just over here, just, messing up what we got going. You know what I'm saying, girl? And she fell for it. She was like, yeah. You right. So anyway, in they have their final like little counseling session with the counselor, and he was saying, like, she was saying, or somebody was saying, I don't remember. Somebody said that we didn't even really get a chance to address certain things, and I think it was him. And he was like, we didn't really get a chance to address a lot because we got stuck on one issue. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, you the one that had them stuck on the issue. You did. You could have just told the truth and we could have moved on. But you want to sit up here and play games. But the most interesting part was when the girl, the fiance, the soon-to-be bride, was like, well, you know, even if it was addressed, it won't go away. And then she was like, well, I mean, it'll go away with time. And then the therapist was like, no, it'll go away with change. And I was like, yes, that's very true. Because the fact is that she doesn't trust him. Period. Point blank. She doesn't trust him. Whether for good reason or not, she doesn't trust him. And it's nothing he will be able to say or do that will cause her to trust him. Even if he says he didn't cheat, she would think he's lying. And even if he says he did cheat, now she knows she can't trust him. But what the therapist was saying was that the change comes with her. She has to choose whether she's going to accept his behavior or accept his cheating. And in that case, accept it, you know, full out, knowing that, okay, I'm with a cheater and I can go into this relationship knowing that I'm okay with what he's done or what he could possibly do in the future. Or she can not be okay with it and end the relationship. But at the end of the day, like, it comes to her being able to change her mind and accept who he is or not accept who he is and move on. And that's totally, fully on her. Because all of this is basically, you know, what, you know, it's kind of all on her, honestly, because you're still here, even though you don't trust him. And you want something from him that he's not going to be able to give you. Like, in the end, they were going to get, you know, each person's perspective about, you know, whether they give their blessings on the relationship or not. And it's funny because the cousin who caused all this drama was like, yes, you know what? Yeah, I give my blessing. Like, if you don't shut up. The sister was like, no, I don't give my blessing because it just confirmed what I thought all along. It's just too much drama. His mom still was like, yeah, I still give my blessing. I'll be here for you guys. And then all of her people was like, no, I ain't gonna be able to get on board with this. So if you decide to marry this dude, that's on you. And so he was like, okay, everybody was like, thank you. You know, everyone gave whether they gave their blessing or not. And he was like, well, I thank you, everyone. But I think we're just we know who we are and what we came to do. We love each other and we're just going to still go ahead and get married and this, that, and the other. And it was funny because at the very beginning, he was the one that said, if we can't get our families on board, then I don't think we're going to be able to get married. Now you talking about we're gonna still go ahead. He was just going full stream ahead. And it was funny because he couldn't even feel that she wasn't in the same place as him. He was saying it as if he knew she was right there with him, but she wasn't. He was so oblivious. And just not very, I can't even believe that he's 29 years old. Anyway, in the end, she was like, no, I'm not going to be able to marry you. I think we need to hold off on this. And that was good for her. I'm glad that she took what the therapist said to heart and noticed that, girl, this is on you. So if you're gonna be okay with what he's doing, be okay with it. If you're not, then leave. And I don't think she was, and so she was like, you know, this has to end. You know how they have little notes on the screen? They were saying he finally admitted that he did cheat, and they're no longer together. And I was like, okay, that's good, because honestly, you guys had no business getting married. If this one little eyelash issue, not little, I don't want to, you know, minimize it, because that was big for her, but if this one issue you guys could not, you know, work through or figure it out, or, you know, like y'all would have never made it in marriage. Marriage gonna be 10 times more than that. And you talking about you can't even you guys did not need to be married. But the interesting thing to me is that I feel like it's a lot of relationships just like this, especially in the Black community, where you have people like this that are getting married and they're just super young, not aware, and not ready. And it leads to very toxic relationships. And it affects people in the long run. You know, even if you guys get divorced after that, you know, it's like, now you done just created this possible monster. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. I think, like, I don't even understand why she got with him when in the first breath, like with the first 5 seconds, not 5 seconds, you know, but like first like minute or so of the show, she was like, I had heard, even before she got with him, I had heard that he was, you know, a ladies' man, and he was doing all of this and doing all of that. Not to say that people can't change, but if you get with a person and they're exhibiting the behaviors that confirm what you heard in the beginning, then that should tell you something. But she was very young. And I'm so glad she did not get married, because she has, for me, in my opinion, has to really, you know, get to know who she is and know what she wants out of life, and what she, you know, what she will accept as a person. You have to develop yourself first to be able to know, to stand strong in who you are, know who you are, and to be able to tell people what you will or will not accept. And I just don't think she was at that level yet, you know. I think, like her mom said, her mom was thorough. Her mom wasn't playing. She was like, even in her little speech, she was like, you know, I give y'all individually my blessings, but no, not together. No. But I'm interested to see what the next couple would be, because honestly, I hope it ain't a whole bunch of people out here that's trying to get married and they cheating and all this, because that's gonna make for a boring show. I hope it's more different issues, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, thanks for listening.